Time for another pickup video. Been traveling quite a bit lately, and I had a chance to make a video. Been to Chicago, been down to Houston, Texas. Also, I've been down to South Carolina over the past couple of weeks or so. Got a few finds, made some finds today. Most of the finds I have, I made today. I did a big roundabout to celebrate my first day of vacation. Went on a retro game hunt all over the place. Spent all day driving around to different flea markets, pawn shops, and places like that. So here's the first thing I found. It is a Nintendo game, NES game called Rockin Ball. Now this is a pretty neat little game here. It's a pinball game, of course. However, besides having a regular pinball game, it's got 4 other variations of pinball. There's one variation where it's kind of like you make a bet, you shoot a ball up, and you try to make it fall into this hole that has like a little number 1 on it. It has a little board with checkerboards on there and little pins like a pachinko machine, and the ball bounces around. There's another version on here where it's kind of like a head-to-head pinball game, like a football or an ice hockey, where you bat the pinball back and forth between you and another player. And then there's a regular pinball table that's 2 people that plays. One person's on one side of the screen and the other person's at the opposite side of the screen, and you throw the ball back and forth across the field between you. It's actually pretty cool. I had never heard of this game, and when I found it I was like, Rockin Ball, so I figured, I'll give it a try. And, I like it, so it's staying in the collection. That's a good one. Next thing I found was for my Sega Genesis, Devilish. Now, this is kind of a very unique pinball game where you kind of like have it's kind of like a combination of pinball, breakout, and a RPG type of game. You try to get the pinball to progress up the screen with your 2 little paddles. You got one paddle that stays at the bottom. Another paddles you can move up and down. You can make go voop, voop, side to side to bat the ball around to open gates, knock out monsters, open chests, things like that. It's kind of a very unique game, and I love breakout and pinball type games anyway, so I grabbed this up pretty quick. That's going to stay in the collection too. It's complete in the box, got the manual and the instructions, so it's a nice one to have. Next one was for my Sony PlayStation 1. I think it's a budget title because it's got a funny looking box. It's called Shooter Starfighter Sadvine, whatever it is. It's a neat little game. It's kind of like arena combat in space, kinda. Like you choose 2 different ships, different armaments, and you get thrown into this little arena, and you fight off the other ships. And the more hits you take, it takes time off the clock. And you don't want the time to run out, otherwise the game is over. So as you destroy ships, you get more time. So as you progress through the levels, your counter gets higher and higher to give you more time to try to beat the more difficult bosses. It's not a bad little game. I think it's a budget title game. It's made by Tomo. It's kind of neat. I just wish it supported the, it does say it supports analog control. I must have turned it on. Oh. Well, I'll definitely like the game better now. Next game I picked up is Mass Destruction for the Sony PlayStation 1. This is a tank game. 3/4 isometric view. You drive this tank around, blowing up everything in sight. You got missions that you do, like blow up water towers, which that's what I'm doing in this mission right here, is blowing up water towers. Other things, you got 3 different tanks you could choose from. You got one that's really fast but has poor armor. One that's in the middle of the road, it's kind of medium speed, medium armor. You got one that's slow but it's got really tough armor. So depending on the mission you're going to do, you select which tank you want to use. There's a lot of different power-ups in here. You got flamethrowers, homing missiles, some different types of bombs that you throw out of the tank, different types of shells you can shoot. It is a really, really fun game to play. This actually picked up from my good buddy Indie Soul that does the Stalking the Retro podcast. And every once in a while, you can hear me on there. I help participate every once in a great while. But it's a pretty funny podcast to listen to. So that's for Mr. Indie Soul. Next game I picked up is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, for the Sony PlayStation 1. I like Star Wars games, and I've never had this one before. Not heard a lot of good things about it, but I figure I'll pick it up because it's a Star Wars game, put it in my collection. What's really cool is it has the Duel of the Fates music video on here, which I like that song from the original movie towards the end where they're battling Darth Maul and stuff. But it looks like it's a pretty interesting game. It's kind of like a adventure game. So I'll give that a try, play a little bit more. I didn't do so well in the video up here, but oh well. Next thing I picked up for my PlayStation 1 is Alone in the Dark, One-Eyed Jack's Revenge. Now I played the original Alone in the Dark on the PC. I think it was released in the early 90s, maybe? I'm not 100% sure. I know it was early on. Loved that game to death. It was a great little strategy, kind of like a puzzle type of action puzzle game is what it was. You had different monsters you'd fight, and you had puzzles you had to figure out. This is kind of along that same vein. I played it a little bit, but as you can see in this video up here, I didn't do so hot. The controls are a little hard to get used to. I'll probably try this again a couple more times. If it doesn't work out, it'll probably end up going on Game Devil. But I'll give it a little bit more tries and see if I'm going to keep it or not. Next game I picked up was from my PlayStation 2. It is Intellivision Lives. Now I like the Intellivision console. I never had one when they originally came out when I was growing up. I did buy one a few years back, but I actually sold it off because I was getting the television games on compilations like this or on emulators and things like that. And I don't have a lot of room for a whole lot of consoles in my little man cave out here. But this has a lot of neat games on it. It has my favorite Astro Smash. Another one of my favorites, Night Stalker. Probably my two favorite games on this system. It has a few other games on here that I kind of like the Star Strike and Space Spartans and a few other ones. It's a great little compilation of games for the PlayStation 2 from the original television series. I think they also released this for the Xbox, and I believe it's on the GameCube as well. I think it's all over the place. I think I got a... No, that's Activision Anthology I have for my Game Boy. I don't know if they had did they have a television for the Game Boy Advance? I don't know. I check into that. Anyway, enough of that. Next one picked up was from the Tendo Gamecube, Men in Black 2, Alien Escape. This is kind of a run and gun game where you play either Agent J or Agent K with different missions. You battle different aliens, you get power-ups, different weapons you can use from the Men in Black show. It's actually kind of fun. I actually played this for about 40 minutes this evening. That's why this video is so late being made. Having quite a bit of fun with this thing. So it's kind of a cool game. And then I picked up Galaga for the Game Boy Color. And when I found this, I was like, oh yeah, cool, a portable Galaga that's not on like a Namco museum or something like that. Unfortunately, this is not arcade version Galaga. This one's called Destination Earth. It's kind of like Galaga, but it's not. It's okay. It's not a bad little game to play. Don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. I might end up using this as a prize on the Retro Gaming Roundup podcast. Not 100% sure yet. Then I found myself a couple of electronic games, LED games. The first one's made by Coleco, and it's called Head-to-Head Boxing. Now, I'm doing another little video series where my wife and I play these little two-player games together against each other. So I've been collecting these head-to-head games for us to play for this new little video series I've been doing. And this one's actually quite fun. Me and my wife's already played it already. I didn't record it, unfortunately, and she kicked my butt. Oh well. I'll get her on the rematch. So this is a cool little electronic game by Coleco. And then I went to a pawn shop down in Jacksonville today, and I ran across this Radica game called Sub-Assault. Now this isn't an LED game, it's a LCD game that's backlit. You got a little viewfinder you look through right there. You see the game action. You got your torpedo buttons right there, 1 and 2. And you got your movement here for left and right, dive and surface. And it's a neat little game. It's not too bad for an LCD game. It was only $1, so well, you can't go wrong for $1 a little electronic handheld game. I don't know if I'm going to keep it yet or not. I might end up either putting it on Game Gavel or maybe use it as a prize, or I may get drunk and my buddy Indy Soul may talk me out of it, like he's after my voice module for my Odyssey 2 up there. Anyway, that's all the pickups for this week. I do have a Sega 32X module coming. I found it online for a hell of a good price, so I picked it up. So I'm on the hunt looking for Sega 32X cartridges right now, and I did find a couple. I found Star Wars, and I found Virtual Racing. Where are you? Yeah, Virtual Racing and Star Wars. Don't have a gameplay video yet because I don't have the 32X module, so when I get my 32X module in, when I talk about it, I'll go through the different games for it that I have, that I've found, and show gameplay video as I do the pickup video. So that's it. Thanks for watching.